Hi everyone. So I'm back again, taking over. Wait, I'm not really taking over. I'm just doing stuff. All right, guys, I'm back again. My name is Tolu Adeleru-Balogun. I'm a journalist. I'm a freelance writer occasionally. I'm also head of presentation for a new Pan-African television station known as News Central. So I do a whole bunch of things. But today I'm back again with my friends at Enough is Enough Nigeria. And we're going to be talking about all the emotions and all the feelings that so many of us have had concerning COVID-19, concerning the lockdown, how we're managing to, sort of stay sane in the midst of all the craziness. Don't mind me, I'm looking for something. In the midst of all the craziness that's going on around us. So how are we all, staying sane? And I can't do this by myself because definitely this is something where we need a trained individual to join us. So please share this. Let people know that we're having this conversation. Mental health conversations and things like this are really necessary in Nigeria. We're seeing improvements in that regard. People being much more honest with some of their battles as it may be, but we still need to do more. So I'm going to get a woman known as the Emotions Doctor. She's known as the Emotions Doctor. She's well known here in Nigeria. Excuse me, I thought I had set up everything before I started, but today just does not seem to be my day. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to get the Emotions Doctor online to join us. She's going to join the conversation. And we're going to talk about all these things and so much more. So let's... The woman known as the Emotions Doctor. She'll tell us a little bit more about that, why they call her the Emotions Doctor and all of that. Okay. We're trying to get her. I hope you guys are doing okay, even though the restriction has been lifted. I also hope you guys are not out and about. I can see my window. There is traffic. Lagosians, where are you going? Hi, Oyinkan. How are you?
Beautiful. Thank you. My pleasure being here.
Great. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for taking out some time to be with us. So let me introduce you again now that you're with me. So Oyinkansola, Alabi, she's known as the Emotions Doctor. She is a therapist. She also runs Emotion City and also does some interesting classes and courses on emotional intelligence. And we're going to get into how that sort of plays into making sure that we're all very able to keep up and also able to, hold forth when we're facing anxiety and fears, all of that stemming from the lockdown and coronavirus and all of that. So how have you been? We did a month of lockdown. Now there's some restriction. Lagosians are out and about. How are you?
I am okay. I have to be okay because I have trained my mind to understand that pressure only reveals content. So at this time, if I faint in the days of adversity, my strength is weak. So adversity only comes to reveal my content. So I'm trying as much as possible. I have my high days, I have my low days, but the days where I am low, I try as much as possible to alter my state. So I'm doing pretty well. I am not on 100%. I doubt anybody's on 100% because nobody's working from home. Nobody's working from home. We are all trying to survive a pandemic and work from home. So there are two different scenarios, going on at the same time. People are battling with life and wealth at the same time. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I think that I am on 80, 85. Anybody who says they are on 100% are not telling you the truth.
Well, unless they have some really fantastic coping mechanisms and they happen to be some kind of emotional superhero.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I can categorically tell you that. I doubt it. We have some level of subtle fear, subtle anxiety, subtle panic. Yeah, so all of us have it. We may pretend that we don't, but it exists and we can't deny the reality.
Okay, so let's just start. Tell us, why are you called the Emotions Doctor? So even before I knew your whole name, your full name, your real name, even what you look like, I've been hearing something about the Emotions Doctor. I have one or two friends who are who are friends of yours as well, and they talk a lot about the things that you teach. So why are you known as the Emotions Doctor?
Okay, I'm on a journey that will get me to become a professor of psychology. So where I am presently, is my journey into becoming a doctor of psychology. So I think that my friends just like that reality. And then I've always wanted to be a doctor. I have, my father was a doctor. I have a cousin who is a doctor. I have friends who are doctors. So I've always loved medical doctors. But then I didn't like blood. So I decided to be a doctor in my field, you know. So I like the title because for me it is more prophetic, and it's like a vision that I'm working towards. So it's beyond just a cool name. It is the fact that I must have all the tools that I need to be able to provide emotional stability to people, and I must also be at the apex of my field. So my challenge daily is that I must be 1% more knowledgeable than everybody else in my industry. So I think that my results actually corroborates with my name, and so people are excited calling me that name.
So how do you think we do with emotions as Nigerians, as Africans, the psychology, psychiatry, and, you know, just having people go to therapists, official therapists, not their neighborhood, not their pastors, not their imams. Just that's also quite very new and relative into the conversations we have as Africans or Nigerians. So how do you even think we do in terms of emotions, even addressing emotions and even being able to name them, that there are these emotions that people are feeling?
Nigeria has something I would call like a generational problem. And then usually when you say generational problem, people think of something spiritual. But when I talk about generational, yes, when I talk about generational issues, I'm talking about generational programs and beliefs. So in Nigeria, for example, we were raised to feel or to think that we should drop our emotions at the door or by the door. So for example, you are raising a boy and your son is crying. You say, stop crying like a sissy, stop crying like a girl, stop acting like a girl. And then we go on to sabotage this young boy. We go on to deny him of his emotions or experience. Yes, we deny him of the fact that he needs to experience himself, to feel his feelings, you know. And then this guy becomes a teenager or a youth, and then he finally gets married. The same emotions that we sabotaged as a child, we're now expecting him to display when he's married. And then I keep wondering where he's going to get it from. If you arrested his emotions as a child, and then he's now in his 30s, his wife is expecting him to be emotional, to be romantic, to display, and all of those things. So as Nigerians, except if you were raised by parents who were exposed and some level, yes, parents with some level of exposure, but the blanket strategy is that a good number of us were raised to feel that experiencing your emotions is some level of weakness. So we try to boss our way through. We try to pretend that these feelings exist. We try to ignore the fact that we're emotional beings. And then it's very clear now. So all of us are at home, whether we like it or not. Across the world, we're at home. And then for the first time, we are prioritizing what life is about to us. So initially, we used to act like if we took a pause or if we calmed down, we're going to die. It looks like it must be from one project to one contract. But now in 2020, everybody's goal in 2020 is to live and survive.
Yep.
Like our goal, all of us have a common goal in 2020, which is self-preservation. So beyond every other thing, the goal in 2020 is that you should preserve yourself. And you can see also in 2020, I think that 2020 is the most emotional year for every human being. This is the year of empathy. This is the year of compassion. All of a sudden, you are not hearing first world countries, second world countries. You are hearing human beings.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you are not hearing that, oh, a Christian died, a Muslim died. You are hearing human beings. All of a sudden, you are not hearing 300 lesbians or gay, whatever died. You are hearing human beings. So in 2020, we have all been reduced to what we really are, which is being human.
Okay.
So this is the year where I'm with you.
Go ahead. Finish.
This is the year where all of us are getting back to what I call default setting, and we are being programmed. Because who we are is not really who we are. It is who we have become. You are a cluster of programs and beliefs. So you are a mobile program. So the same way you have a phone, you are a mobile program. You are, every day you wake up is a program. How you have your bath is a program. How you eat is a program. How you speak is a program. How you drive is a program. How you interact in friendships and relationships, a program. How you spend your money is a program. Like, you are a mobile program. So our responsibility is to help you update your apps as often as possible, because you will most likely have faulty apps. You would have applications, mental applications that you need to format. You would have applications that are sabotaging your existence and are disempowering to you. So 2020, quite truthfully, is a year where all of us must have conversations within, and we must attempt to restart ourselves all over again so that we can function better.
Okay, so let's talk. You mentioned earlier that the world is stuck at home and different things are happening at home. I've had conversations, I think about 2 weeks ago when we started this, looking at domestic violence and the rising number of cases because more women and sadly children, victims overall, are stuck in the same place with their abusers. But beyond that, we're all at home. This is the first time some parents, some husbands and wives have spent this much time together. This is the first time some parents and children have spent this much time together. And you see in some situations a lack of patience with each other, quickness to anger because you literally cannot go outside. So that feeling of being restricted actually affects how you address and deal with issues. So let's start with parents and children. Now the children are excited to have mommy and daddy at their beck and call almost 24 hours a day, but it can wear. I won't even deny. Sometimes I just tell my daughter, please, just stay outside that door. Just give mommy 10 minutes and I'm coming. But there's no such thing as 10 minutes in a child's mind. So what do you say for parents who are trying to deal with the emotions of being there for their kids, but also in a way feeling guilty for not wanting necessarily to be there? And, you know, also having to deal with how children can be in situations like this. A bit aggravating, a bit annoying, but they're simply just being children.
Okay, so I also know and understand that this season is a little challenging for children and kids. And what do I mean by that? It's obviously the first time they're experiencing this. They can't go to a playground. They may not be able to visit their friends. They are not going to school. I'm not sure if they particularly know, especially if they are less than 7. So if you're trying to explain why they're not going out or why going out is not safe, why they need to put on a mask, why they can't hug people, you know, we're all social creatures. And we are preserved through conversations, connections, and communities. So what is interesting is the fact that we've tried so much to be extremely independent, and that's why the world is what it is. We've tried so much to prove that we are the same, but 2020 has brought us to the reality that at the core of our differences is similarity. Yeah. So no matter how much you try to drift away, there's something at everybody's core, which is the fact that we are human beings. So it is as difficult for your child as it is for you. So if you are feeling stressed at this time, your child is feeling stressed. Your child cannot just go to the park. They can't just ride their bicycle. They can't just go and swim. Like, life just shut down right in front of them. And I'm not sure they understand it. And then, you know, isolating in other countries, maybe it's not better, but then isolating in Nigeria comes with a flavor of drama. You are most likely isolating in darkness, maybe like half of the time. You know, so beyond the fact that we lack structure and systems, we are each other, we are presidents. So all of us are individual presidents. So Nigeria has 200 million presidents, and then we now have the chief president. You know, so yeah, you know, so kids are also, they really do not understand why it has become so strange that they can't hug people anymore. Now you are telling them who to hug, who not to hug. You are telling them how to greet, how not to greet. So the dynamics are there. And what we all have to do at this point is that we have the capacity to tap into our emotional bandwidth. And in tapping into the emotional bandwidth, we can create some level of fun for our kids. So I know of a father whose 2 daughters kept saying to him that they wanted to go to the park. So he took cartons like these noodles and all of those things, these FMCG products. He took cartons, went to his staircase, and then opened the cartons up, and he arranged them in a way that looks like they were going to be sliding down through the carton. Wow. Yes. You know, and he did that, and he arranged cartons from the beginning of the staircase to below, and then his daughters kept going through, and it looks like a sliding whatever. So that's how people are improvising.
Yeah.
You know, in whatever way. I know another father whose kid said to him that they wanted to go to the beach, and he looked for a lot of sand. He put it there, put chairs there, put balloons and all of those things, just improvising. So we're all just trying to survive, and we're trying to be happy. So the same way we are trying to foot the bills, even when all of this is going on, is the same way your child has every right to say they want to go to the park, because they used to go to the park before. And then all of a sudden, you guys are saying you are parkless. And then you're saying you are parkless, there's a car, mommy is around, there's a driver. So they really don't understand the dynamics. In their mind, why are you just so wicked? So they start begging you, start pleading, start toasting, start doing everything possible. And then, you know, when you say there's a pandemic, you know, I encountered a child who said, oh, COVID-19. Okay, so when did COVID-1 happen? When did COVID-2 happen? When did COVID-3 happen?
How did we get to 19?
Like, how did we get to 19? I just woke up in 2020 and you people are saying COVID-19. When did 1 to 18 happen?
My daughter thinks that Corona is a person, because we've told her that you can't go out because Corona is in town. And she's like, so who is Corona? Why is Corona keeping me in the house? What can we do to Corona? So I understand that, because a lot of times we do have to come down in a way to sort of speak a language they understand, even with the restrictions that are, you know, for children. But beyond the children, even in the larger scape of the family, I know, I think it was reported when China lifted its restrictions that, quote unquote, this may be wrong, but quote unquote, that they actually saw an increase in the number of couples that were seeking for divorce after the lockdown was lifted in China. Now, people have joked also that we might see some, but again, given our social structure and the way our country is, our communities are, it may not be so, but there are couples now who have not spent this much time together in 20-something years, or in 10 years, and 15 years, and they're finding out that, hey, I don't think I like you as much as I thought I did, or too much of you is not a good thing. How do you think couples should handle this kind of situation that we find ourselves in?
Okay, so the trajectory I've seen, I also heard about the increase in domestic violence, and then the fact that people are petitioning for their divorce and all of that. But then I'm looking at it in several ways. Number one, I understand that some couples have foundational issues. So not that they go married because they loved each other. Because one thing I believe about marriage is that people don't get married, values get married. Beliefs get married. So when people are going to the altar, they are going to the altar with their values and with their beliefs. Okay. So I'm looking at the foundational structure there. I'm looking at some errors that might have occurred. And then if there are errors from the beginning, there's a tendency that they were using their jobs as an escape route. Okay. So their job is some level of coping mechanism. So they've transmutated their energy and invested all the time they're supposed to be spending with their partner into their work. So yes, they are diligent. Yes, they are hardworking, but then the job is deeper than the job. So the job is satisfying a need. So for them, they are in a relationship with their job. They are dating their job. You know, so at this point, what the pandemic can do and will most likely do is to reveal and expose all of these realities. So now that we may not have anything to hide under, now that we may not have a reason to be coming back late at work, late at night, under the guise of I was in a meeting and all of those things. So those coverings are out of it. So now both of us are here and we have two options at this time: to either work on our marriage based on what has been exposed to us, or to deny the existence thereof and say that probably, what do they even call it? Irreconcilable differences, and then we move on. Yes. So I think that what the pandemic will do is that the pandemic will expose. And then why did I use the word expose? Because pressure only reveals content. Pressure only reveals content. And who you are when you are angry will give us a good reflection of who you really are normally. So, for example, if you say that you got angry and you slapped someone, now that action has exposed you. And what do I mean by that? I simply mean that you are not a slapper because you slapped. You slapped because you are a slapper.
Because that's your response. Not because
so you are not a
that
slapper.
is your default.
Yes, you are not a slapper because you slapped. You slapped because you are a slapper. So it is not the action that made you. Slapping is already in you, and it just took some level of pressure to be reviewed. Because the truth about it is that if slapping was not one of your options, you could have walked away, you could have just sat down, like you could have kept quiet. But the moment you chose the option slap, then we need to find the root cause of it. So during this time, the pandemic will expose two things. Will expose couples who have drifted away or couples who were never together in the first place. And of course, they have an option. They can work and improve on the quality of their relationship, or it would also bring couples closer. So this pandemic, some couples can see that, oh, we've drifted apart. What can we do? What can we not do? So there are two flavors of people here. People who will say, you know what, I can't do this again with you. I'm not ready to invest in coaching and therapy. I'm moving on. And some set of people who will be like, wow, I never knew we drifted apart. You are the best thing that has happened to me. My family is extremely important. I think we need a coach or a therapist to work with us and all of those things. But the pandemic will just expose. People are getting closer at this time. Some people are also drifting away. So it is really what has happened before, but no matter where you are, if you decide to improve on the quality of your relationship, of course it is workable, it is doable. But when we're talking about domestic violence, one thing I categorically say about domestic violence is the fact that it is the person that is alive that can preserve a marriage. So the moment violence is involved, we usually will suggest a separation. A separation is different from a divorce. Yes, protect yourself first. You deserve to be alive. Protect yourself first. So if violence is involved, we need to get you out of that zone. Marriage is a part of life. Marriage is not life.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. You're saying some of the things, you're basically reiterating a few things in this part that Henshaw also said when we had that conversation. So we've talked a bit about children, we've talked a bit about families or couples as it may be, but at the greater landscape, as you said earlier, we've seen situations where this is really revealing humanity. People have stepped up to be their neighbors' keepers. People have stepped up to help provide and to feed those around them who may not have as much as them. So the idea was to keep sane, and sane for us stands for strong, active, neighborly, and energetic. How do we do all of those things? Because the world as we know it has changed. We're hearing that this might last into 2021. We don't know if there will be a second wave. We don't know if there's going to be a second lockdown in Nigeria. Our numbers are already not where they should be after a month of lockdown, but they are continuing to rise, over 300 last night as it was. But so we have considerations. We may be locked down again. The world may see a second wave of this, and there might be reason for us to go back into some of those restrictions. How do we keep sane in all of these situations?
Okay, so when the pandemic started, I came up with a research report on the effect of COVID-19 on the emotional stability and mental health of Nigerians. So number one, that can be downloaded. It's totally free from my bio. But the number two thing is, I've seen a lot of motivational speakers, as usual, telling us that it's a fantastic time to write a book, fantastic time to start a company. You know, all the inspired to aspire. You have all the time, but there's something that I have said categorically. If at the end of this lockdown, or by the end of the lockdown, the only thing you are capable of doing, or the only thing you would say that you achieved would be that you are emotionally stable in an unstable world, then I would give you a thumbs up. I would give you a thumbs up. Your emotional stability is as important as everything else. And there's no health without mental health. So I would talk about how you can be emotionally stable in an unstable world, especially in Nigeria. So the first thing that I will say is that I mentioned earlier that we're all social creatures, and the reason why we are feeling this way is because even though we can go out, there's some level of mental restriction in our brain. So yes, the government has said you can step out, but there's a mental restriction informing you that you are not as free as the word freedom.
Yes, as you used to be. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, and then all the places we usually gravitate to, we can't go there anymore. So churches are locked, mosques are locked, clubhouses, restaurants, cinemas, you know, all of those avenues where we distress are all locked. So what is going on now is that we all have stress trapped in us. So we all have stress trapped in us. And when you have stress trapped in you, you either resort to using anger as a coping mechanism, or you snap, or you just become easily irritable and irritated. And you just see that you are no longer your pleasant self. And what is happening is that you are doing so much work, you are giving so much, and you are not exhaling. And you are not the only one feeling like this. So let me paint a clearer picture to you. Life is divided into 3 phases. The first 2 phases, all of us love it, all of us pray for it, all of us desire it, all of us would do anything to be there. So the first 2 phases are the black and white phase, where as you think it, you achieve it. You write your business plan, it comes to pass like that. You do your strategy sessions, everything you intend to have aligns with your desired outcome. So as you conceive it, you embrace the outcome, and everybody is fantastic. Your marriage is going on well, your kids are doing well in school, business is fine, promotion upon promotion, your business is expanding. Everybody likes to be in the black and white zone. Yes. Everybody will do everything to live on the black and white radar of life. The black and white mood meter, the black and white scale on the mood meter is fantastic. That is when you hear that people are extremely happy. When you hear that I am happy, I am joyful, I'm at peace, I'm enjoying my life, that's the black and white zone. People will do anything to be there. But the third zone is where all of us avoid, we pray against, we bind, we will do everything not to be there. But the irony of this third zone of life is the fact that it does not need our permission to show up. This part of life plans unpleasant surprises. That's where you will hear the word deliver us from evil. Because you don't need to anticipate it for it to show up. And that part of life is where I call the gray area of life. So the gray area of life shows up to question your core. It questions everything you have ever believed in your life. It questions your mental state, your spiritual state, your financial state, your emotional state. It questions your entire existence. And this is the time that for the first time in the world, the entire world is experiencing the gray area of life together. Yeah. And when you experience the gray area of life, the gray area of life attempts to drain life out of you. It attempts to squeeze you. It attempts to just extinguish your existence. So the way you are feeling now, be rest assured that almost all of us have been there before. So if you are feeling tired, if you are feeling anxious, if you are feeling fearful, whatever feeling that you are experiencing, understand that we all oscillate and fluctuate. We have our highs and our lows. So we all have something in common. So how do we ensure that we handle and we increase our bandwidth during the gray area of life? So let me give you an example of my own gray area of life. 2 months before I was born, my father had stroke. I'll be 36 in September. My father is still alive. And then my father has lived with stroke for 36 years. That's number one. And when I say lived with stroke for 36 years, I mean he's been bedridden more than half of that. So when I say 36 years, more than about 25 years he's been bedridden. So when they said that when the lockdown whatever started, my father doesn't live in Lagos, so his carer called and said to us that she has not been able to go to my father's house for 2 days, that's 48 hours. Wow. Because she's not been able to move. So of course that rang an alarm. Now you have a man who is bedridden and is the only one at home. Yeah. So we started calling and saying, how can you get there? She said, oh, she attempted to go there. Security officials beat her up and she had to run for her life and all of those things. And then the next day we told her to please try and go by 5 a.m. so that she could get there. Of course, she said she went by 5 a.m. She encountered the same thing and then she went back home, you know. And then the next thing is that the fourth day, so by the fourth day, I had to step up my game. And then I said to her, I said, do me a favor. This is the amount of money that we pay you monthly. I will double it, get to my father's house.
Yeah.
And of course, she got to my father's house.
She found her way.
I don't know how. I don't know how, but she got there. Now, while all of that was going on, social media had no idea that even Emotions Doctor is clustered. Social media has no idea of what is going on. So before today's call, my mother will be 70 tomorrow. Before tomorrow, we had planned a Caribbean cruise for her to visit different countries. We had planned a private dinner in Lagos. We had planned and we've deposited, paid money and all that. And then alas, it's going to be a Zoom party. But before the Zoom party, so I invited her to my office today to do a photo shoot and then get a camera, whatever, on ground. We are even trying to get a private chef or whatever to give her everything that she wants and all of that. But then I remember when she was saying to me, she was really unhappy and she was saying that why would she can't even celebrate her 70th birthday. And I said something to her. I said the most important lesson in this 70th birthday is the fact that you are alive and well.
Yes.
We can always have a party. The reason why you are desiring a party is because of our programming. The fact that we always have to celebrate and make noise.
Yes.
If noise making and noise and hype was not part of our program, you could have just had a party of 5 and everybody would be all right. So I said to her, I said, your 71st birthday, we will slam 70 and 71 together. And we will shut it all everywhere down. Now,
please, I'm waiting for my invite. I'll be waiting for my invite.
So as I'm saying that to you, remember that we have paid millions at several places to tie this party down.
Yeah.
Now, I can't afford to be thinking of our money everywhere. I remember a sibling, one of my siblings saying to me that, oh, we need to get a refund and all that. And I said to the person, I said, if you were running a business at this time, would you offer any of your clients a refund? I said, are you aware that the money you are asking them to refund, will be somebody's salary? So how many refunds are they going to make before they go under? So she said, oh, how are we going to get our money back? I said, I have no idea, but we're just going to come up with a party. Somebody has to do a party. to use the facility, we must come up with a party, whether this year or next year. But we just have, I said before the lockdown, I had tickets to 8 different countries. I'm staring at them in my drawer. None of them has refunded me. In fact, one told me that if they give me a refund, it will be 50%, not full percent, not full 100%. So why am I saying that? All of us have lost something.
Yes.
You know, but beyond what we have lost, instead of me using that same energy or deploying that same energy to whine and get angry and get upset, how can I deploy the energy to make the money back? So there's a statement that I really believe in. In the Western world, they say something, but I don't think that's true, where they say that when the going get tough, the tough get going. I don't think that's true at all. I don't believe in it. What I think is that when the going gets tough, the tough will collaborate. Because when you are saying to me that when the going gets tough, the tough gets going to where? Where is America going now? Where is Italy going? Where is UK going? They are collaborating.
Yeah.
They are looking for solutions. Where is Nigeria going? Nobody is going anywhere. When the going gets tough, you have to collaborate. You have to survive first. You have to look for how not to sink.
Let's talk about that, because we mentioned businesses, and I really like the fact you brought up some of the businesses you guys have paid money to. We have small entrepreneurs. We're a country that runs basically on small businesses, whether we like it or not. What would you say to a business person in this situation? There are people now who are telling their workers that they'll only be able to pay them 50% salary at the end of May. They don't know what's going to happen in April. They'll be able to make it 25 or 15%. We have businesses right now that are completely shut. I saw a video that was by some some of the, really well-known restaurants in Lagos. And they talked about the fact that them closing down, baristas, waitresses, drivers, student chefs, just really breaking down the ecosystem of what makes their restaurants work. And you just realize all the knockdown effect, all the people inadvertently affected. So what do you say to a small business owner who has to think about what April will bring, what the end of May will bring for salaries? What does reopening look like whenever we open? Because even if government says tomorrow clubs and bars reopen, there are still going to be people who will not go anywhere. Like me, I told you, everybody should be a dog. You guys go out like the dove first. Go and see what happens. Next week, I will go out. So how do you counsel them? Because there's anxiety not only for what they've brought forth as a business, but also the people they feel responsible for.
Okay, the truth about it is that COVID is here, and I'm not sure the world would ever go back to what it used to be. So I think that there's a new normal that has become normal. So post-COVID is becoming the new normal. And what I mean is that you would see that more people will recruit their staff through Zoom. You will see that people are now welcoming the fact that they can have a 20, 30-man wedding, and then everybody should stream in through Zoom. So you don't have to go bonkers or borrow money to get married anymore.
Yes.
So that one is also there. Then you also will see that sometimes we overspend because we want to impress people. We don't know that we're spending money because of our lack of self-esteem and complex. And then we go ahead to keep spending to prove a point. So COVID is here. All those people who have ever said that, oh, I don't want a big wedding. It's my family that wants me to do a big wedding. COVID is now the time to prove it.
Yeah.
All of you who go married, just do one background where you will see. When my mother was in my office today, I just simply started playing songs and we were dancing. And I just told her, try and get yourself into that zone that you are on your dance floor. And we danced for about 20 minutes and we took pictures. And I just told her, I said that it is the person that is alive that can be planning a birthday party.
Yes.
So that one is there. So how can we then do it? I also noticed that the world is listening now and everybody is online. So the good part is, how can everybody digitalize their business? And then there are several professionals who you can reach out to at this point where you can digitalize your business. They can help you move online. I saw a particular brand saying that you can own a store on their platform. So what you need to do is to list your products and services, and then people pay for it. They even deliver it. So it is even totally free to list. So what COVID has done is that we must embrace flexibility. We must embrace the online world, which is the digital space. Now, data is the office. Data is the project. Data is the agenda. What you need now is your phone and data, your laptop and data. I remember having a conversation, because I have a product in this direction where I help people create products. And then I remember having a conversation with a lady who said to me that she's a makeup artist. Now that they've closed her store, how will she sell her makeup, her powder, her lipstick and all that? And I said, you know what? Create an online store. List everything that you have on your Instagram. Be putting powders, be doing this, be doing that. Let influencers jump on board. Gift them your products, the ones you can afford to gift them, so that they can drive traffic to your page. And I remember having a conversation with her by the end of last month. She was able to even make 200% of what she would have made if she was in store. And you know, she asked me a question. She said now she's asking herself, should she renew her rent or she should not?
Post-COVID, that's a valid question.
Yes. There was another client I was working with who wanted to get a duplex for their office. And I kept asking, what do you need to duplex for this and that? Now that COVID is there, it's clear to the client that they don't need that level of space.
Nope.
Because about 60–70% of what they usually do at work, they just found out that they can do online. Yes, they can do from home. So what that has done is that it has automatically reduced their rent by half of it. Yes, and their overhead and all of those things. So yes, it's a painful time, but for people who own restaurants, for example, I know restaurant owners. So since this isolation and lockdown started, there's a lady who sells pepper snails to me. and I've been patronizing her. I've never met her before. But during this isolation period, for 5 weeks, I kept ordering a bowl of pepper snail, a bowl of pepper snail, 10,000 naira each. And I ordered once a week for 5 weeks.
Wow.
I've never met her. I've been patronizing her for about 2 years. I've never met her. I don't know who she is. I don't even know her first name. How did I meet her on Instagram? I slid into her DM and the business started about 2 years now. And then even during lockdown, she just gets one of the major logistics company and they deliver to me. The guy even knows me already. Yes. So they get to my house before 11 a.m. And I know I have snails for the week. Next week, they deliver the same thing. So this is a girl who, instead of saying that, oh, I cannot do my regular thing, she's gotten clients. So imagine me ordering 10K a week and she has about 10, 20 of us. And what she's doing is, remember also that she can even make these nails once and for all and refrigerate.
Yeah.
And she already knows that she's dispatching every Monday. So just make it on Monday morning and dispatch. And you've made your money for the week. And then the next one is next week. So when the going gets tough, you have to collaborate. And collaborating simply means that you have to find a way in which your business must become an essential service. Your business must become. So no matter how intangible your business is, you must find a way to make it become an essential service. So if you are in the information consulting space where you are a knowledge trader or you are a consultant, you must be able to let your clients know that you are no more an optional product. You are a necessity. If they don't buy you, they will lose money. So anything you are saying now, you must show your clients numbers. How much would they lose if they are not patronizing you? So it's no more about, oh, emotional intelligence is good, emotional intelligence is good. It's about saying that for every time you refuse to train your clients, you lose this amount of money in HMO, you lose this amount of productivity, you lose this percentage of performance, and at the end of the day, this is the amount of money you will lose overall. So if it is not making money to your client, it will not make sense.
Not making sense.
So you must find a way to become an essential service provider. As an entrepreneur, our responsibility is to be flexible enough. School owners also, it is a fantastic time to have an online school. Let all your teachers become online tutors. There's nothing stopping us from learning social studies on Zoom. There's nothing stopping us from learning chemistry on Zoom. There's nothing stopping us from learning whatever on Zoom. So yes, I know that in the first 3 months, it would affect our income, but as it's affecting our income, we are also trying to evolve because we must keep evolving.
Yeah. Okay,
and some people will lose their jobs. Some people will lose their jobs. There's nothing we can do about that because yes, in a war, you will only hold on to your most important properties. Yeah, during war season, you will drop everything that looks like a liability and pick just your assets. So it is our responsibility to therefore become an asset. So if you have been dropped, you have been sacked, but you have not been fired from life. So you lost a job, not a life. So it is therefore your responsibility also to become an asset. I can remember how I started my company in Nigeria. I started by delivering gifts. People who know me, some people will still call me MOR, Merchant of Romance. I used to plan surprises for couples. I used to deliver gifts on a horse. I used to ride limousines, helicopters to deliver gifts. We used to do crazy stuff, serenade, midnight deliveries. We were extremely creative. And then after a while, I saw that I was not as fulfilled as I started. And I started placing a demand on myself. And I remembered my dream to become a psychologist. And I kept asking myself a question. How can I become so important that people will need me to a point where I will be the one deciding and choosing who to attend to and how much I should be paid? So even now, I remember onboarding a client yesterday and she said, your fees are expensive. And I asked her a question, relative to what? The amount of money you are paying me to drop off your past and to drop off your baggage. Would you rather continue with this baggage? She said, of course not. And I said, yes. So how much is this money that you are paying me and the baggage you want to drop off? So what we are doing is that we are trading. I'm giving you beauty for ashes. I'm giving you the oil of joy for your mourning. So would you rather stick to that, or you will pay my money? But how did I get there? By ensuring that I am 1% ahead of everybody in my industry daily. I place a demand on myself. So my title is not a funky name. My title is by the work and the results that I deliver across African countries.
Oyinkansola, now I understand. I understand why you have the fans that you do, why you have, I guess, the spokespersons that you do around everywhere. I always heard so much about you and the work that you do, especially in the emotional intelligence era. So I want to ask you something. You had made mention earlier.
Thank you.
We all saw that on Twitter and Instagram, that if you don't come out of this COVID lockdown with a new book, a new skill, finishing a course, cleaning your house, something, it was never about time. You were just lazy. And for a while, I was like, okay, let me do something. But I got to a point that some days, the best thing I could do for myself is wake up, feed the family, and just relax. But then there's something else that's been going around, and it's about friendship. And I want to talk about friendship. As much as we're all social creatures, COVID-19 has also affected friendship. So there's also like a tweet or a post, whatever, going around saying that this is the time for you to know who your real friends are, that the people who reach out to you, the people who try to check up on you once or twice a week, that's how you know who your real friends are, that after the lockdowns are lifted, you should treat people accordingly, the way they've treated you. What do you think about that? Does that give us enough room to understand that a lot of people are going through a lot of things? We don't know people's financial standing. We don't know their employment standing. We don't know where their minds are at. And this idea that if somebody has not reached out to you more than once or twice to say, how are you, that they're not really your friend, then you should drop them post-COVID. What do you think about that?
Okay, I actually saw something in that direction. And my conclusion is that if people knew better, they will say better things. They will utter better words. When I saw it, I just smiled because it just looked to me like witchcraft. Like it just looks like a flavor of witchcraft. What do I mean by that? This is the wrongest time and the worst time to judge or measure anybody's love for you. We are not all functioning well at all. Everybody is trying to survive. And I'll give you a fantastic example. So on Sunday, I called a friend of mine. The last time I saw her was middle of February. So I called her on Sunday and I said to her, it's my mother's 70th birthday. She does my makeup. She did this makeup today. It's my mother's 70th birthday tomorrow. Please, I need you to come and do makeup for her. And then we've been friends for about 15 years, close friends, but we haven't spoken in 2 months. And then she said to me, she said, oh, I may not be able to come. I lost my brother a week before the isolation, before the lockdown.
Wow.
Our older brother. I had no idea. I had no idea. So as she said that, of course, first thing Monday morning, I was in her house. And her house is pretty far, about 2 hours away, still in Lagos, but pretty far into the hinterland of Lagos. And I showed up at her house, and all I could do when I sighted her was give her a hug. And we hugged for about 10 minutes. And I said to her, I said, how have you been? And she said, I've not been well. I was there for about 2-3 hours. And I insisted that she should come for the makeup, not because I wanted her to do the makeup, but because she said to me that she had not stepped out of the house since middle of February.
Yeah.
So imagine if she was judging me as a friend. How would she have expected me to know that she lost her brother if she had not told me? But the moment she told me, I was there for her in less than 24 hours. But how would I have known? Because she didn't communicate it. And she said to me, she said, I could not even say it because I moved from shock to anger, then to grief. And I understand the stages of pain. So at this particular point in time, I think it's one of the wrongest time where we are proving somebody loves me. I'm counting love. They called me last week. They didn't call me. I'm the first to call. I'm the first to WhatsApp. You know, I think it's Tom and Jerry and children who play at that level. At this level, maturity is key. It is the person who have emotional strength that should reach out. So I will give you another example. During lockdown, because I'm in essential services, I was able to move around here and there. And there was a particular friend I kept on going to see once a week. And I was in her house once every week for 5 weeks. And I remember after lockdown, I said to her that, oh, when are you coming to visit me? And she said, that she will finally come. Oh, that I know that during crisis, I'm the strong one. And I started laughing. You know, and I understood the reality because, of course, during crisis, somebody must step up. And if we cannot step up, then iron will sharpen each other and we'll be there for each other. So I think it's extremely unfair that you are measuring people's love for you at this time or this season. Nobody has extra love. Nobody has, you know, when you buy fuel or gas in your car and then you now buy in your jerry can, nobody has that, hey, baby, that's my girl. Hello. Yes, that's how we roll. We are in this Instagram live together. You know, nobody has an extra bandwidth that they are not using.
Yeah.
Nobody has that. So for me, I think it's childish, it's funny. I think we should just watch each other's back and be there for each other. After COVID, we cannot be saying, oh, I would have loved if you checked up on me or something. But at this time, life is extremely key because you are even assuming that they are alive. What if they are not well and fine?
And because you've been keeping score about who is reaching out, you refuse to reach out.
It's just very childish. Like, all of us have grown. Only witches do all of those things. Just move on and greet people.
Only witches.
Only witches keep score. I called you earlier. You sent me a text. You didn't send me a text. Life is deeper than that. Go to US and look at how many people have died. You will see that it is a privilege to be alive. You will not even be looking for who is calling, who is not calling. I'm calling all of my friends because you don't even want them to die, and then you now have one guilt in your mind saying, only if I had reached out.
True. Very true.
I think it's just childish. I think everybody should just attempt to be all right at this time and just be human.
And just survive this time.
I'm telling you.
All right, so what happens post-COVID? So we are a society that's finally opening up to our emotions, a society that's finally naming emotions and even admitting that they exist. But we've struggled before now, we've struggled during this time, and then post-COVID, people have to decide how they want to interact. And because we're social animals, we're animals that look for contact, it's going to change. Before people get back to readily hugging and shaking hands, we're going to have to adapt to, as you said, a new normal. What happens then? How do we continue to preserve our humanity, our sanity as well, and then also live in what we see now as a new normal?
The first thing that will happen post-COVID is the fact that there will be an increase in the demand for mental health. Now, my two major concerns will be for health workers, because health workers at this particular point, I'm not sure who is in charge of their emotional welfare. I've seen some organizations give them insurance. I think it's called life insurance or something. But I haven't seen an emotional insurance, and I'm concerned about them because I see people committing suicide, especially abroad. You know, they are tired of people dying, and to some extent, they have some level of guilt because they think that if only they did better or something like that. So our health workers, our frontliners will need mental health care. That's the first thing. The second thing is that people will move from lockdown to job loss. People will move from job loss to divorce. So there will be an increase in mental health, and the government is not even paying attention to that. I'm not sure organizations are paying attention to that. My company is launching a project next week, which we would also discuss online and all of that. But there'll be an increase in mental health. We are trying to be part of the stop gaps, you know, so that is there. Another thing that would happen is for the social creators and all of those things. I think that this is a time where we must be a little close to our neighbors. So your neighbors do not have to be like you, no matter who they are, no matter who they worship, no matter the gender they decide to become. As long as they are human beings, you need them around because you need to be gisting. So I remember a particular friend, a naughty friend, who posted something on Facebook. Last year, he posted there and said that he has a particular neighbor who distributed jollof rice, but then he now found out that his own jollof rice was the least, that the girl gave him small rice. The guy is not normal. That the girl gave him small rice because he was igniting banger. So it looks like his banker disturbed the girl. So the girl gave him small rice. In my mind, how did you go and measure all the other bowls of rice that you noticed your own? But that one didn't even pay me. So during lockdown, he now came back online to say that the girl started playing music. She stood at her balcony and she was blasting music. And then he stood at his balcony and he was dancing. That in fact, he has started dropping playlists. That is telling her, Lagbaja is next. Kiss Daniel. So whether we like it or not, we have to start having street parties.
Yeah.
We have to start having compound parties. You guys stay on your corridors or whatever. At least practice social distancing and dance. Just dance. So I think that we are getting back to where the country was or where the world was when we were younger, where all of us used to do Tales by Moonlight. We used to do story time. We used to do Suwe and Ludo and all of those things. So we are getting back to appreciating community. So this time around, it's not about who is rich and who is not rich, because the gap, even though sometimes it's looking wider, but then it's also obvious that even the rich cannot escape at this time. There's nowhere they are flying into.
Yeah.
All of us have been humbled. Whether you have blue or red passport, you are here for now. If you have work permit, you are here. All of us are Nigerians at this point. So we have gotten to that point where we need to even know who our neighbors are. And I have another friend that did something, all of them on Zoom. There was something that they did. They did a movie night and they all saw a movie together.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yes. So people are having Zoom parties. People are doing compound parties. People are doing games. In fact, I have another friend who in their house, they attempted to do like a swimming pool, and they were looking for drums to get into. I'm telling you,
really?
Like anything, yes, anything that would increase our adrenaline, anything that would excite our hormones, anything that would make us happy. Like, let's just play again. For me, all through the lockdown, one of my neighbors that I know pretty well, we've been jogging daily 5 kilometers. And I jog every evening between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Of course, on a normal day, I will not have jogged alone. He also will not have jogged alone. And then we've been sharpening each other and we are jogging. Now it's good for our immunity, it's good for our health, and we're enjoying it. So we jog, we stroll, we gist. At least we have an hour connection, and then we go back to our houses. So post-COVID, we must be intentional about staying in touch.
Yeah.
So that's why we can't be playing mind games. Somebody called me, somebody did not call me, you can do Instagram live with anybody in the world, with your mentors, with your enemies, with anybody. Instagram live is free. You can do Instagram live, you can have a Zoom party. In fact, at this point, I'm thinking of how we can even have a singles party, because I see that singles may not meet new people if they are not careful. They will just have a PhD in singlehood. Somebody must rescue them, and I'm attempting to rescue them. They will just have a PhD. And then I am also intervening on behalf of every human being that God should ensure that in 2020, it doesn't add it to our age.
This year, he should take the year back. It's okay. He should take it back.
This year is just a bonus. He should not add it to our age. So we should start all over again. It should not be bonus year. So nobody should add this year to their age.
It doesn't exist on my CV. It does not exist anywhere else.
It doesn't exist. 2020. You just put it there. Bonus, extra year. We are enjoying it. So what is going on is the fact that one thing I have done that is working for me is that I sat down and I wrote down all my skills. And in writing down all my skills, I said to myself, how can I digitalize these skills and make money online? So part of what I do exceptionally well is that I speak, I listen, I coach, I offer therapy, I negotiate, and so many other things. So now I have developed a product for each skill. So for each skill has become a product, and I'm selling them online and I'm making my money. That's number one. Number two is I've also listed out my hobbies. So I'm trying as much as possible to invest in my hobbies, things I love to do. Number three is that I have listed out people that give me energy, because you have emotional helpers and emotional vampires. And you really don't want to spend, yes, you really don't want to spend a good part of your life with emotional vampires. So I know people who give me joy. I know the food that gives me joy. Pepper snail gives me joy. I can't deny it. I can't deny it. Coca-Cola gives me joy. My coach hates me saying that, but it gives me joy. I've just found out that there's a level of mental orgasm I get from pepper snail and Coke. I can't deny it.
Okay, Oyinka, they're about to kick us off of Instagram. I'm going to end this, then we'll come back and wrap things up. Yemi has already given me heads up, but before they kick us out, I'll be right back.
Okay, all right.
Hello, we're back. So we're going to wrap things up with Oyinkansola Alabi. She's known as the emotions doctor, and if you joined us from the beginning, you understand why. A lot of emotions. That peppered snail one, I definitely can. I can definitely get in on it. So let me invite her to join the conversation as we get to wrap things up. There we go. Yes. I know what she means. There are some things, if you know me, you know cooking brings me joy. Baking brings me joy. Kathleen knows, if you know me well. Oyinkansola, you're talking about Coke and pepper. I understand. There are many things in my life that first taste, I've listed all the restaurants I need to go back to, because I want to go back and capture those emotions that food brought to me before COVID-19. But as we're saying, we're doing post-COVID and we're wrapping things up. So you've talked about, of course, digitalizing skills, listing your hobbies, the ones that bring you joy. Also, of course, recognizing who the emotional helpers in your life are versus the emotional drainers. And I've talked about this on radio before, and a lot of us don't realize that there are negative people in our lives. And the way I typically connect it to an emotion is, number one, if I realize that I have to have a conversation one-on-one with this person and I'm already feeling like there's some kind of pressure on me, like I feel like I'm already weighted down, then two, when you come out of conversations with these people, if you shared an idea with them, you're already changing your mind about the idea, you're doubting yourself. Time you leave a conversation with them, you come away from that conversation either doubting yourself even more, doubting your capabilities, doubting your ideas, and you just realize that this person, every single time you're there, they take from you, they take energy from you, energy to keep the friendship, energy to keep the conversation going. And that's how I realized that some people got to go. They need to go. From far away, I can wave and wish you well. I don't wish you evil. I'm not a witch, but constantly having to be in contact and sort of trying to align our energies, it just doesn't work. And I think that's a whole different conversation, that many of us need to be able to set up boundaries with people like this and protect our energy. But maybe we should, because there are a whole bunch of conspiracy theories out there right now. We're talking Bill Gates, people are talking vaccines, and even with social media, we want to stay abreast, we want to know what's going on, but sometimes it's just too much. How do we even put some of that distance between all of that for ourselves so all of the information doesn't drive us crazy and also doesn't depress us?
Okay, there's something that I practice called emotional fumigation. So the same way you buy an aerosol and then when you see an insect or whatever, you try to extinguish is what I do. So if I am online and I see that the energy from your conversations or your post drains me as opposed to empower me, I just unfollow you. It is my data, it is my phone, it is my choice. So I unfollow you not because I don't like you, but because I do not want to be in contact with that energy often. I respect you, but I don't have to follow you. And it's totally clear. So I'm not sure people are very conscious. So if you check my followers, they're less than 500. Those are the people who bring me joy for now. Some other people will join. And then even out of those people, I also still follow them. Like I observe. So when I see that today you have just always breaking news and you never have good news to break, I will break you. You never. You have just become a negative dispenser. So you are like one dispensing machine. Someone just plugs you in and you're blah, 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 blah. No, it's not my portion. I just leave. I avoid you. So that's what I do personally. And then I'm also conscious of the people I follow, especially on Twitter. You know, Twitter, people act like tiger generators on Twitter, always ready to drag children of anger. And one thing that I say very well is that you cannot be happy in real life and take pleasure in dragging people. No, you cannot. There's a level of misalignment there. If you are naturally happy, you cannot take pleasure in dragging. So it just shows me the state of the nation, that people are aggressive, people are unhappy, so they are looking for where to dump their BS, and that's why they do what they do. So I won't allow them drop their BS on me. And sometimes when I tweet, because I can also be a little controversial, you know, Nigeria loves conformists. So when they see that you are really not in their zone, they come for you, and then they have the natural insult: go and marry, you are frustrated, you don't have sex. they just have the repertoire of insults. But you know, one thing I say is that nobody can shame the shameless.
I know someone that says it as well. She's here. No one can shame the shameless.
Nobody can shame the shameless. I already have your medicine. I am the one distributing medicine, so I don't have your time. So when I see that Egungun wants to enter the express, I just mute you.
But Oyinka, why do you think some people follow people that make them feel the way they do? Someone that maybe brings up feelings of envy and jealousy in you. Someone that makes you look at your own life and feel like, oh, I have not accomplished anything. We understand that being on, like I tell people a lot, Instagram sometimes is a dark hole. You go from one person's page to another. Before you know it, you're in 2010 and you're afraid to accidentally like a picture. How did you get there? So why do you think some people put themselves through that? Because I think it takes a bit of strength to be able to say, what, you know what, I'm unfollowing you because I don't like the feelings that come up. You're not necessarily blaming the person. It's not their fault. They don't know, they may not even know you exist in some situations. So why do you think we put ourselves through that?
You know, there was a particular day that I unfollowed my best friend. In fact, even till now, I don't follow her anywhere on social media. I don't follow any of her handles.
But,
she doesn't
but
tag
you're
me,
still best friends. You're still best friends.
Oh, yes, we are still best friends.
Okay.
In fact, when I wanted to unfollow her, I told her, I said to her, I said, I'm going to unfollow you. The reason why I'm unfollowing you is because anytime you write a post, I'm trying to think about your emotional stability at that time. Are you well? What's going on? What's not going on? And because I care so much about you, you bother me. So I said, I will stop following you. So if there's anything wrong with you, I'm a chat away, I'm a WhatsApp message away, I'm a phone call away. And it was a mutual agreement. Because on several occasions, she has posted some things that I have to call and I say, oh, are you okay? She says yes. And then I say, oh, I just read one post on Facebook. And then it was almost becoming, I just read. And I was like, I'm doing myself. Oh, why am I following her? If there's a crisis, she can call me and I'm always available anyway. But I think that the reason why some people do that, I see different options. Number one, people have not strengthened their no the way they use their yes. So they don't know how to reject. They don't know how to activate the unfollow button. In fact, maybe it has not come to their consciousness that they were the one who followed. So they can as well unfollow.
Yeah.
Yes. And then another option is that even though they see envy and jealousy, or they experience envy and jealousy, is the fact that they also want to monitor. You know, there's a level of monitoring spirit that an average Nigerian exhibits. An average Nigerian at the base level is a witch. It now depends on the level of witchcraft. No, I'm telling you, an average Nigerian, let me help you. Wait, let me bring it. An average Nigerian is extremely intrusive. So they ask you questions that are not their business. When are you getting married? That's number one. Number two, how come you don't have a child yet? Are you waiting? When you now even have the child, when are you having the second one?
Yes.
This particular job that you have had, you've been there for 5 years, so won't you leave? You know, just look at our cultural language and how we ask questions and now put it on intrusive and normal. You will see that you have more intrusive questions than normal questions. How is your husband? Are you sure you are okay? Why is your daughter looking like that? Are you sure nobody is abusing her? You know, you are not sure if it's from care or from lack of. You know, so an example is a single lady is requesting for a salary. Somebody will say, are you married? What responsibility do you have? What do you want to use money for?
Yeah.
So I'm telling you what I've studied in 17 years. An average Nigerian is intrusive. Let me give you another example. So in my church, one of the offices I occupy in life sometimes is that I'm a pastor. So there was one particular day. Go away. There was one particular day. There was one particular day that a guest minister came to my church. And then we are 40 pastors. Presently, I'm the only unmarried pastor. So when I say only, just technically, not that I'm not married in my heart, but I'm the only unmarried, physically unmarried. So this pastor on stage now made a call and said that if you are believing God for a husband, come out. Of course, everybody ran out. People believing God. So I sat down. And as I sat down, I already knew that Nigerians would be on my case. So the first person on my case was the videographer. You know those ones who stay on stage to capture. And then he now put me on the screen. The LED screen, oh. And because it was obvious now that I wasn't outside. And he had a challenge that I wasn't outside. So as he put me on the screen, because naturally I'm also not wet, so I was very happy. I just crossed my leg that this is my 5 minutes of fame. I will use this one well. So I crossed my leg. So I was not looking. So of course I could see that people were looking at me. And then the preacher said, if you are believing God for your husband, I'm not believing God. So I can be single and not believe God. Do you understand? There are two different categories. So I just sat down. Of course, after service, people came to meet me. Pastor Oyinkansola, you are very stubborn. And the preacher, so I now told them, I said, didn't you hear the call? But I could just see that an average person, they're not started asking me, do you have a boyfriend? I just was like, I said, mind your business. You know now, when people ask me that, when are you getting married? The only answer I give them is on my wedding day. Because that's really when I'll be getting married. So a lot of things happen. So people may know that people are causing them pain, but they want to monitor progress. Monitoring of progress is crucial.
Isn't that about comparison in the long run? If you're monitoring someone's progress so much, that means you want to live a life of comparison.
It's because you are wise. They are monitoring the progress so that they will know when to intervene. The intervention point is the day you make a mistake. So they will now join your draggers.
Wow.
And then if they can't do it in the physical, they can amplify in the spirit realm. So it depends on who sends them. No, people monitor to stay. Let me tell you something. I found out something that people don't mind you succeeding, but they mind you succeeding more than them. Wow. So sometimes they follow you so that they monitor that you are not succeeding more than them. Wow. So you need to know what the dynamics are. Behavioral you can't understand how human beings can function.
Do you think we are, I want to ask, are we different than the average American in terms of our emotional understanding of things? So now some of the examples you gave were, when are you getting married? When are you having a child? When are you having your next child? And you would think that somebody would be able to read. We have a situation where we understand that, yes, even now in Nigeria and on the African continent, women are tending to get married later in life. They're wanting to have more education and be a bit more economically, or at least in terms of employment, more stable. We also know that at least 35 to, if not 40% of first-time parents have problems conceiving. A lot of married couples will get married and they may not conceive within the first 1 year, 9 months that we all like to. Secondary infertility is a massive issue for a number of people who've had one child. So wouldn't we also, we know all these things. Why do we then ask the questions that put people on the spot?
Yeah, it is because of some things. Number one, culture. Number two is the fact that we also like control. So we also like control. So let me give you an example. I've been hearing people say, oh, why are worship centers locked, this and that? And I'm saying to myself, guys, get a life. What I see is going wrong is the fact that you guys are so used to activities that lack of activities is exposing you.
Just stand still and be still, be silent.
Yeah. Lack of activities is exposing you. And what lack of activities is exposing you for is the fact that you don't have a life. Activity is your life. So for the first time, you are having to listen to your soul and encounter your soul. So you are not really doing anything, and you cannot but do something. and then you are used to the respect, you are used to the convoy, you are used to the human worship. You miss it. Because your children will not worship you, your wife will not worship you.
They've seen you finish.
They've seen you finish. So where they have not seen you finish is where relevance is. And because you are not used to not being alone, you are not used to a relationship with yourself, you are now creating crisis, and you are bringing up conspiracy theories. We have seen beyond your theory. Go away. We have given you leave for 6 months. Go and do something with yourself. Remove the title. So everybody is being exposed at this time, and then they are now coming up with a whole lot of gaga here and there. So whether we like it or not, the only part of this COVID that I don't like is the fact that people are dying and they are losing money. Honestly, I like this assembly that we are all doing. The only 2 parts is life and money that I don't like. But this assembly, we must all receive sense.
Okay, so we're going to wrap. I feel like I could talk to you forever. Now I really, really do understand. I feel like I could talk to you forever. But you mentioned something again, and 2 things I think are very interesting for us as Nigerians and Africans. We are communal creatures. We're creatures of community, of social activity, of doing the things that are expected of us. And I see a lot of that, married at a certain time, children at a certain time, a certain kind of job. And years later, people are finding out they are deathly unhappy. And they don't know how to break that chain. They've done it for so long. They've been that person everybody has expected of them for so long. And as you said, some people right now are having to encounter being by themselves, either find ways to engage themselves, or for the first time in a few years, actively looking at themselves in the mirror and spending time and deciding, do I like who I see? Do I like the person I am right now? Do I like the person who I've become? If somebody says, I want to change, I don't like this person, I don't like the way my life is going, can people change? And how do they do that?
Okay, so can people change? I think people can grow. I think people can update their mental applications. And then in doing all of that, they will arrive at a place called change. So I usually simplify it that when we were younger, we used phones like 3310, Alcatel, because those were the phones we could use. I remember when I was in school in 2001, when it was the first time that this thing came up, network or whatever it's called, GSM and all of those things. In school, you had to lift your phone up to get signal.
To look for signal.
I'm telling you, you almost had to tie your phone to a tree. It was almost looking like the signal was spiritual. You know, because of what was going on. Yes, at that time. If you show up with a 3310 now, all it will do for you is to send a text message and a phone call. It will still be a phone, but it would not be able to solve your problems at the speed and the level you really want to solve your problems. So what is going on is the fact that some of us are running with what I call expired programs and expired beliefs. So it is our responsibility to check the programs that we are running in our lives the same way we check programs on our laptop. So every time your laptop hangs, it is because there's a virus. So sometimes some of us have mental viruses. So if you are malfunctioning, it's a mental virus. And what do you do to a virus? You format it so that you can install another one. So if you have things running in your life, I have a story from a retired nuisance to the emotions doctor. If I lived in Mushin for 18 years.
How do you rush through something like that? From a retired nuisance to the emotions, Oyinkansola now. How do you just brush that aside? How about? Okay, let's continue. I think that might have to be another interview, eh?
And why did I retired nuisance? Simple story. I lived in Mushin for 18 years, so I have the capacity to change it for you if I want to change it. Power can change hands in less than 60 seconds.
It's a skill. It's a skill.
Yeah, it can change hands. So the process of becoming an emotions doctor is extremely intentional and deliberate. And I usually say to people, if I can do it, then you can do it. So can people change? Yes. But then change comes from updates. And in updating your programs, your belief, engaging a belief swap and all of those things, you will arrive at a place of change. So my question to everybody is your soul serving you? Is the quality of your soul serving you? Are your programs and beliefs serving your existence? If they're not serving your existence, there are some programs you run and you have about money, and that's the reason why you are poor. There are some programs you have about marriage, and that may be the reason why you've not been able to have a fantastic relationship or even enjoy your marriage. So if you have programs like Men Are Scum, Men Cheat, there's no way at every point in time you will see your partner through the eyes of cheating. If you also see women in a particular way, if you see women as domestication or domestic servants, not as partners, it would also affect the quality of your relationship. If you see children as procreation product or whatever, it would affect your quality of parenting. So change is extremely intentional, and what COVID has done for us is to prioritize and reprioritize our existence. So the same way after COVID, you will not spend money anyhow except something is not right with you. At this particular time, you are ensuring that you are prioritizing your needs and you are going for your needs. It's the same way your mental needs also must be prioritized, because how you think is what your life will become, and you are responsible for how you think. You are responsible for the stories that you tell yourself. And there's a difference between the story of your life and your life story.
Wow. Okay. I feel like we can go on and on, but I need to wrap up before Yemi comes back again. But I find this really fascinating, and I really hope we have opportunities for further conversation, because I think there are a lot of people in Nigeria who would want to build the strength of character to be able to say no a lot more to society, to their families, to expectations and things, and also just being able to build a more intentional life for themselves. Life shouldn't just happen to anybody. You should happen to life. You should be intentional about the course of work you're taking, the kind of partner or the values that you marry, the type of children you're determined to raise. All of those things have to happen, as you said, with us being intentional. So the topic has been the battlefield of the mind in the course of COVID-19 and the lockdown. And we've talked about so many things, and I can't but say thank you. But what are your last words? What do you want to leave us with as we wrap things up?
There's no health without mental health. Invest in your mental health. Your mental health is no longer an option. Your mental health is your priority. If you can get it right at the mental health level, you will most likely get it right at other spheres and in other flavors of life. But if you get it right in everywhere else but your mental health will sabotage everywhere else. So please pay attention to your mental health.
All right. Oyinkansola Alabi, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you as well.
Being here.
EIE, I say a very big thank you for taking out some time, a little bit more than they told you, but it was a very enjoyable conversation, and I'm sure people would also look forward to reaching out to you. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic evening.
My pleasure being here.
I don't know if we say a cool lockdown, a cool restriction, but let's continue. Because the traffic in front of my house, I'm just like, where are you Nigerians going? I don't think everybody has to be out, but a lot of people are out. And of course, there are those who have no choice, but I really wonder about the people who do have a choice and who are out and about. But that's another story. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you very much.
My pleasure being here. Thank you.
All right. Have a fantastic evening.
All right. Bye, ma'am.
All right, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Again, thank you so much, EIE, Enough is Enough Nigeria, for this opportunity. I had a fantastic time. If you don't know her, you can follow at Emotions Doctor, and just follow up on some of her activities as well. Please don't forget, while the lockdown has been lifted, we need everybody to continue to be safe. Our health is our primary responsibility. Sanitize your home, go out with sanitizers, make sure that you are using a mask. If it's washable, wash it. If it is not, dispose of it and get a new one. The numbers are rising. There is a lot more potential for community spread and community transmission now because of the lockdown. But please stay with the curfew, 8 o'clock, stay with the hours. Just try to keep yourself and your family as safe as possible. I don't know if I'll be back. It depends on whether or not EIE wants me to come back. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, for joining us. I had a fantastic time. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tolu AB. I have some fun, sometimes some controversy, but always definitely some fun. So you guys be safe out there. Keep yourself safe, keep your loved ones safe, and have a fantastic evening. Till next time, bye-bye.